Hi everyone, and welcome to the third part of Color My World class. And in this part we'll be coloring using Stampin' Up! Red markers as well as ink pads. The first part will be about coloring with the Stampin' Red markers, and I will show you 3 ways how you can do that. As well, I'm using 2 types of watercolor paper. The first one is cold press, which is the Stampin' Up! Watercolor paper. Now it comes in larger sheets, and the next one is hot pressed, and I'm using the Fabriano. I found that this one is very nice watercolor paper. Sorry to see my mess here. Okay. So, and I have 2 different sizes of pads, as well 2 different thicknesses or weights. This is like the 90 pounds, which is lighter, and then there is the 140 pounds, which is a little bit thicker, so you can use any. I like them both. So, and the hot press, it's pretty smooth, so it's like more like white colored cardstock. So, okay, let's get started. So, I've picked a couple colors. Well, actually 3 colors. I have here, oops, sorry about this. Let me just zoom in a little bit. So I stamped already the images from Bloom with Hope, which is a hostess set in the new catalog. So this is a sneak peek, and I've stamped it here twice to show you 2 different ways of coloring. As well, I stamped it once on the watercolor, the hot press watercolor paper. And here I have 2 markers. Those are the Los Lagoon and Coastal Cabana. They're both in colors. The Los Lagoon is the new one. So I'll start with the first. As well, you will need a glitter pen and aqua painter. I have a bunch of aqua painters, but I could not find those, so I'm using one that's not the Stampin' Up! Brand. And I have paper towel to absorb the water from my aqua painter. So I'll start with the darkest one, and I'll just color. I want darkest to be, and then I'll go with the lighter one. Kind of start not from the edge, but a little bit more, and kind of blend those so we don't get sharp edges. And then using my aqua painter, again, I'll go not from the very edge, but more from the middle. Kind of start blending. And then go from more from the inside, more kind of pull that color towards the top. And then you can just clean your aqua painter. Not aqua painter, but blender pen. And we'll do the same with all of the petals. So I'll just go, I won't be talking much, just put color where I want darkest to be. And this is the easiest way to watercolor. It's not messy and you have more control. So if you're a beginner, probably this is the way to go. So there I'll lay the darkest color, and then I'm going with the Coastal Cabana, kind of blending those edges and pulling color towards the top of the petals. And then I'll go with the blender pen, kind of pull that even more. And then from the bottom. So there we have that one. Just good. And then I'll do the same with the other flower here. then lay the lighter color, blend it in with the Lost Lagoon. And then I'll go with the Coastal Cabana, with the blender. Sorry, that's not Coastal Cabana. And pull that color in. Okay, so hopefully you're able to see this. Okay, I'll pull it up close here. So let me try to sharpen that. Okay, there is the image. It's pretty easy. And then you can do pretty much the same thing, but you can use, instead of your blender pen, you can use aqua painter. And another tip I forgot to tell you, when you're working with the Stampin' Up! Watercolor paper, one of the sides is blending easier than the other side, so you can just test it. Like, just scribble a little bit on the side and then go with the aqua painter, see if you can blend it. So this looks like it's blending fine. Let me see here. Yeah, and then turn it on the other side and you can again test it. Let's see, I'll just scribble here a little bit Lost Lagoon. And this is blending pretty good, so this one is pretty good one. So I know that the old watercolor paper that had the smaller size, one side was blending, the other one not. So as well, you can see that the textures are both, they're different on both sides. Let's try. Now we'll color on this side, and again I'll stamp different flower using StazOn. Make sure that when you're doing watercoloring you're using StazOn. Don't use Momenta or the classic black ink pad, basic black. So let's see, where is this flower? That's on that side, and I'll stamp this one here. Okay, so I'll show you now with aqua painter. I'm gonna be using the Blackberry Blaze and Perfect Plum and aqua painter. So and I'll start again with the darkest one. You can do this as well with just one color. So when you put your darkest color, then take your blender pen or your aqua painter and pull the... So I'm doing pretty much the same thing as we did previously, but then I'm taking my aqua painter and I'm starting to blend from the edge of the petals, like the bottom here, and then towards the end. And just make sure that your aqua painter is not too wet, otherwise it will start going everywhere, the colors. So next, usually for this I don't color two petals next to each other right away, but I'm skipping one so that way the colors don't bleed into each other. So when this one dries, then I'll color those next to it. And I'll go again, like color a few petals at a time. Putting the darkest, and you don't need to be very precise, because after that when we use the aqua painter all the colors will kind of mix together, so we can pull the color where we want it to be. And then I'll go with the lighter one. You're able to see, yes. So I'm going with the lighter, the Perfect Plum. Okay, and then I'm taking my aqua painter. Let me zoom in a little. So here we zoomed in a little bit so you can see better. So then I'll just start again from the bottom and pull that color and blend it in. And then I'm using my paper towel to just take any moisture, water away that's too much from my aqua painter. And then I'll go to the other one. So you need to work fast, or just do one by one petal, otherwise when the marker dries on the watercolor paper, after that it's harder to blend it. And so then I have this one is dry, so I'll add more color here so I can color that one. And then I'll go with the aqua painter and move the color, kind of blend it in. And then I'll go to the next one. Darker and lighter, and then I'll be using my aqua painter to blend it in. Pull that color. And then again, so I drop the cap of the marker on this one, and then this one, and then just using my aqua painter to pull the color. And then we have one more petal on the bigger flower. Blackberry Blaze and Perfect Plum. And then just blend it in. And you don't want your aqua painter to be too wet, otherwise the water will be everywhere. So that's why I'm dabbing my aqua painter in the paper towel so it absorbs the liquid. And I'm working with a drier brush. So now the smaller flower, we're doing pretty much the same thing. And we'll go around and do every petal. And we have two left. I'll do those two together. And then just blend it in pretty quick. So there's our flower, and this gets more kind of watercolor look this way than with the blender pen, where it's more controlled blending. As well, now will color the insides. Oh, I forgot this little tiny flower here. And I'll blend this one in. Okay, and then I'll use Old Olive and Pear Pizzazz for the stem. And then I'll use again my blender pen. Make sure that you clean it up before you use it on green. So just mix it in. Okay, next we'll do the center of the flower, and we'll just use one color then I'll be using yellow. I'll be using the Daffodil Delight or so saffron, Daffodil Delight. So I'll just color where I want the darkest to be in both flowers, and then we'll just blend it with the aqua painter. So here's the flower. Oops. Okay, I think. Okay, this is much better. So that was both, and we can color here the stem as well. I'll just use Old Olive, and then I'll just pull the color with my aqua painter. Okay, so next I'll show you different way how to color with the markers and aqua painter, but not directly marker and paper, but and we'll use the hot press paper for this, watercolor paper. So I'll be using this image that I already stamped, and I'll be using my acrylic block as a palette. So I'll be using again the Blackberry Bliss and Old Olive. I'll just do one color, and you can just scribble on your acrylic block to use it as a palette, and then from here you'll be picking up a color. So make sure that your aqua painter is clean, and then just pick up some color, and then start from the bottom where you want the darkest to be, and then slowly and carefully go towards the top, and make sure if you have too much water, just use your paper towel to remove the excess water from your brush. And then we just start one layer, and then we'll go back and add more. And as you remove water from the aqua painter as well, when you go back to your flower, you get like lighter tones. So yeah, you can see here. Just pull that very carefully. Now we're gonna let this one dry, and then we'll go back and finish. Actually, we can color this one. Okay, now you can let this dry. Let me see if we can zoom in. Is it blurry? Yeah. Okay, this is much better. You can see it's not even color, so we can just let it dry a little bit, and then we'll go back with more color, and I'll add some little bit more on my acrylic block. So you can pick it up, and I make... Okay, my SD card went out of space, so... Okay, now that we have the image dry, I'll make sure that my aqua painter is pretty dry. I mean, not very like dry, but it has just minimal amount of water, and then I'll grab some color. I wonder if you can see that. I'll pull this. So I'll grab some color from my palette, and again go back to my flower and start adding color. Then just remove the excess water. This aqua painter tends to kind of bleed more than the Stampin' Up! Ones, so it's a little bit more difficult to work with. But with frequent removing of water from it, it just works fine. So, and then just carefully again remove water and with that color so you can get a lighter shade of the Blackberry Bliss. Then I'll go over here. Again, color it towards the top of the petals. Okay, and then and then we have those here. And then we have a couple more here. This one will be, because it's in the black, in the back, I'll do it a little bit darker, and then I'll add some more darker here. This petal is pretty light, so and then we'll go to the second flower and we'll pretty much do the same. Darker, then remove the excess water from the brush and pull that darker color towards the top of the petals. Then add some more. And you can go back and forth with adding more color until you're fully satisfied with your image, and then I'll just color the stems. I'm using Old Olive. You can scribble on my acrylic block. Then just take my aqua painter and color the stems, not the petals. So there we have that. So that was for watercoloring using the Stampin' Up! Red markers. And the next will be using our ink pads, and using the ink pads or inkers, it will be pretty much similar, so I will show you both.